Hello lovely people! Welcome to the end of my 5th week of isolation, and thank you to those of you who've been joining us for our weekly live streams every Sunday at 4 PM UK time, even though this week was actually on Monday because I had a terrible migraine. But I hope to see you this week. By the way, if you like my hair, I have made an IGTV showing you how to do it, and that is linked in the description below. In today's video, everything I hate about the chronic illness warrior narrative. And it's a lot. So buckle in and let's get to the polite but sarcastic ranting. Firstly though, if you're new to this channel, you've been watching for a while, but you haven't yet subscribed, then make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. And if you'd like to become a member of the Kellgren-Fozard Club, gaining access to behind the scenes videos whilst also supporting the channel, then click the join button. Small disclaimer. No, don't start that drilling again. Oh my god. They're drilling again! A small disclaimer, these are my opinions. If you feel differently, it doesn't make you wrong or invalidate what I'm saying, it just means we feel differently. I really want to know your thoughts on this, so please do share in the comments, but also do try to avoid arguments. All viewpoints are valid. I've noticed recently that the warrior narrative has been very prominent in our news, and for very obvious reasons. So the UK's Prime Minister was recently laid low with COVID-19, and when he recovered, the media were quick to applaud him for battling the disease, and colleagues pointed out that he'd always been a fighter, as if sheer willpower alone had got him through the illness. And not, you know, the hard-working National Health Service whose budget he had previously tried to cut. Have you ever noticed how people talk about even minor illnesses, even colds, with the language of war? We always say that we're fighting a cold or battling the flu. We call people with medical conditions warriors and encourage them to constantly battle the illness and push themselves. And personally, I've lived with 2 genetic disabilities all of my life, and those have put me into a permanent state of chronic illness, and I'm unwell. I'm always unwell, I'm not going to get better, and I don't think that makes me an inspirational warrior. It just makes me Jessica. And it would be an injustice to myself and to others to say that it isn't a struggle to live with a difficult body. The narrative of it just makes me uncomfortable. Granted, it could also be because I'm a Quaker pacifist. But, my friends, embedded in the narrative of the warrior life in militaristic terminology is the belief that we can overcome anything if we just try hard enough, right? Which I get through my day thanks to medication, love and excuses. And a lot of Diet Coke. And sure, I do have to put a lot of effort into getting out of bed in the morning some days because I have the energy levels of a very active slug. But on the days when I am overcome by pain and I can't get out of bed, I don't really think it's because I haven't tried hard enough. I mean, there is definitely a tiny part of me buried down, deep down, which thinks that perhaps all the problems I face are because I haven't tried hard enough, but hey, that's why therapy exists. I resent the implication that whenever I'm overwhelmed, it's my own fault for not keeping the incorporeal dogs at bay, and I don't particularly want to spread that thought. People who die from coronavirus did not let us down because they didn't fight hard enough. The onus is not on them and them alone. Life is nuanced, people. Whilst the, well, what does that say about the people who do die argument is a very obvious minus of the warrior mindset, there are other reasons that I dislike it. A rather large one being that it just doesn't work. As we've all now been learning from weeks of lockdown amid a global pandemic, being in a constant fight or flight mode is terrible for your mental and physical health. Also your face. Have you seen the bags under my eyes? We can divide those living with an illness into 2 categories. Those who have a chance of getting better, and those who will be living with their illness forever. So, sure, if you have cancer, there is something to overcome. You can have an after, where you are cancer-free. But for those with long-term chronic illnesses, there isn't an after. But there is relief in accepting yourself as you are. I used to feel like I was trapped in a body that I was constantly fighting against, but that I couldn't tell anyone because all I got back was encouragement to just keep going, rather than an acknowledgement that the fighting itself sucked just as much as what I was fighting against. So, you know what? Even people who are fighting cancer don't want to be fighting all the time. They need a break. They need to be able to just complain and have a big moan without needing to be inspirational or putting lots of effort in. It just, A lack of personal acceptance is bad for your mental health. We know this. Most obviously, we see it talked about in the realms of body acceptance, around fat bodies or non-white bodies, but it's important that we recognise how vital it can be in the disability and chronic illness circles. Working to accept your ill body doesn't mean that you don't also have moments of absolutely hating your illness, or that you aren't actively working to get better, if that's a possibility for you. But it does genuinely help your soul to feel a little bit lighter. When I thought of my illness as something to fight against, what I was really fighting against was my own body, and I was just stressing it further. My illness is in every cell. It's in my DNA. It is me. Often I see the argument, generally from medical professionals, that it's important ill or disabled people don't make our brokenness our entire identity, that we don't focus too much on it, that we take it and separate it from the core of who we are. Bingo, if you had identity politics on your scorecard. Humans don't work like that. I don't see self as a pie chart in which what is wrong with me sits separate and alone from all the other aspects of myself. I'm not 1/18 a redhead and half a Buffy lover. Instead, they're just overlapping lines of the same length but varying opacity. And yes, I've had a lot of time to think about the visual representation of my id. I have to find ways to occupy myself, and my migraines are terrible, okay? I think the main reason that I dislike the idea of being a warrior and of fighting is just that I really can't be asked. It just takes more energy to battle myself than it does just let go and realise some things are just never ever going to happen. This is just me. Just how I am. Granted, it is scary at first. Accepting you're never going to get better is terrifying. I mean, there are a lot of possible futures that you're letting go of, but only by doing so do I see the possibilities that are in front of me. Again, if you do get something out of identifying as a warrior or a fighter, then I in no way intend to undermine that. Go you, in fact. It just leaves me cold. Sometimes I'll use hashtags on Instagram with warrior or fighter because I like the community aspect and recognition that actually, my body doesn't work properly and it is really freaking hard sometimes. I completely understand the celebration aspect around being a warrior, that you should be clapped for getting through those hard days, and we become so accustomed to hiding our pain and the difficulties that we face because living with a chronic illness is a uniquely boring trauma. And using the warrior narrative means other people can't forget that you're still suffering. Warriors are heard, and that's good. I'm just saying, even if you put no effort into today, you are still valid and awesome in my eyes. Living with a chronic illness is not a choice. It isn't inherently brave or inspirational. It's just a life. For me, giving up the fighting talk helped me to accept myself and my reality rather than chasing after a future that got further and further away the harder I pushed. People often ask me how to help their friends and loved ones who are ill. Well, one excellent thing you can do is to not send someone back into battle, not tell them to keep fighting, but instead to take a moment and really listen. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it's been thought-provoking. If you've enjoyed it and want to see more videos like this, then subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video. We'll just have to stop and start as we go. Even though this week was actually on Monday because I had a terrible migraine. Hope to see you this week. Hi, darling.
It's going to be 10 minutes just doing a test hole.
Alright, fine. Stay there. Hello, lovely people. No, don't tell me you've run out of battery. Oh, frick. Okay. It's fine. It's just the third time we've both recorded this. Yeah. We're doing well, people. We're doing well. Cool. Let's go. Hello, lovely people. You done?
Now done.
Now done. Yes, sir, actually done, not done.